Nominees for being here. Congratulations on being nominated by the President of the United States. I'm sure for you and your families, it's a great honor. Mr. DeLue, start with you. Obviously, the NTSB is an investigative agency. You're not a regulator, correct?
Yes, Senator.
But you've been around the block, as they say. You've seen a lot in your career. Like our chairman said, eminently qualified. Kind of help us understand, help the public understand what the day is like for an air traffic controller. From your investigations, where you see things went well, not commenting on a specific investigation, but just generally speaking, would you agree it's a very high-stress job?
Senator, I appreciate that question. So I've been flying for 45 years in the National Airspace System. I've flown all over the world, over many countries. I can say unequivocally that the air traffic controllers in this country are by far the best in the world. The air traffic controllers, they have long hours, demanding days. I'm aware of some of the impacts of the government shutdown. I'm also aware of the struggles they've had in keeping controllers. But I'm fortunate to go every year. I participate in the what they call the NATCA Communication for Safety, and I'm always amazed at the professionalism of the controllers. They have an award ceremony on the last night there, which is they refer to as the Archie Awards, and they recognize the controllers who save lives. So I would have to say that I'm not an air traffic controller, but I've certainly worked with them. I consider them part of my brother and sisterhood, but they are what keeps this national airspace system running.
And with a stressful job like that, we have limitations, right? They can't work 20 hours a day, for example. They have to take breaks. Is that accurate?
Senator, I'm actually not familiar with their work rules.
But you wouldn't want an air traffic controller that was fatigued, that was overly stressed. You want to make sure they're crisp and they're doing their job. That'd be accurate just based on investigations you've been around?
Yes, Senator.
How many people do you know in your career that were either your coworkers that went a month and a half without getting a paycheck? Have you ever experienced that? In other words, would you, like when you were just starting your young family, would you have gone a month and a half without a paycheck?
Well, I would hope I would not have had to do that. I'm sure I'd be mowing lawns then.
Right, and that would add enormous stress to you, your family, your spouse, your kids.
Yes,
Having
Senator.
to think about daycare, right? You can't afford daycare. Daycare doesn't take credit. They expect to get paid.
Yes,
and
sir.
all of that circulating through somebody's mind adds even more stress. Is that fair?
Yes, Senator.
You need to be crisp and on. About a week ago, very unreported story. There was a helicopter. See if this story sounds familiar. There was a helicopter flying through the airspace at Cleveland Hopkins Airport. Fortunately, it was a nice day, and that helicopter flew almost directly in front of an inbound Southwest Airlines flight at 2,000 feet with almost no separation, vertical separation. They were literally on a collision path. Now, when you're a pilot and you can see things out of the cockpit, it's a lot easier to be able to prevent those kinds of accidents. Is that accurate? Because you can see the obstacle in front of you?
Yes, Senator.
And you've flown into Cleveland Hopkins before in your career?
Many times, sir.
So, you know, we're like Texas. We have beautiful weather 365 days a year. Now, imagine if that had been, instead of last week, a nice sunny day, imagine it had been a heavy snowstorm, zero visibility, snow showers, and you were totally dependent on instrumentation. What would have possibly happened in that situation?
Senator, thank you for the question. I'm not 100% familiar with the event you're referring to, and I remember reading or seeing something about that. Based on what you're telling me, I assume there's an investigation going on.
There is.
And with that being the case, I would prefer not to get a hold of the NTSB, and I'd prefer to recuse and not discuss that yet.
And Mr. Chairman, the point I'm trying to make is obvious. We've asked these air traffic controllers to go into a dark room in a very stressful job where there's all kinds of regulations about what they can and can't do because we want to reduce that stress. And we're now day 37 into a government shutdown in which they have not gotten paid, and they're being used as political pawns. And quite frankly, I find that atrocious. I find it atrocious that the Air Traffic Controllers Union itself, not exactly a right-wing organization, has begged Democrats to allow us to have a vote to open the government. But Democrats have refused, and they're playing with people's lives. They're allowing our skies to become more dangerous. So for my Democrat colleagues, especially in this committee, that constantly talk about how important safety is, why don't we actually open the government today? Or actually let us have a vote. Let us have a vote to open the government and get people paid. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.